Howdy, friends, and welcome back to another episode of the 7-Day Boogie. It is I, your host, the Boogieman, JT, coming at you with an audio-only episode again this week, as we are transitioning from one unit to another because I got a new computer. So, again, we are in a transition period, figuring out all the ins and outs of the new machine. But still wanted to come at you because the boogie train does not stop. We have so much to talk about. Firstly, while I was at the computer store, it's so funny how talking to someone about an interest, right? Like I have several interests and I would say medium to slightly above middle of the pack interested and knowledgeable in a few areas like skateboarding, video games, and computer stuff like editing software. Just that kind of groups in with gaming, but PC stuff. I know enough to know what I don't know, right? So at the computer store, I'm giving basic information to the kind folks that are helping me pick out my new computer, basically saying like, hey, I play these games often, I do these other activities often, recording videos, editing videos, a little bit of music recording, both entertainment and creative needs on one machine. So they're giving me the highs and the lows, but I know enough to know what I don't know. And I don't know a lot about the like real nitty gritty performance stuff in a computer. My good friend at the computer store, basically, I was like, hey, I do these things. I run a couple applications simultaneously if I'm like gaming and recording gameplay or talking to friends on Discord or something like that while playing a game together on the computer. And this dude just starts going into command prompts and overclocking and underclocking. And I fancy myself a pretty conversational fella, so I can kind of get through most conversations. Like if I'm in an Uber and someone wants to talk about a sport that I'm not particularly versed in or a topic that I'm not particularly versed in, I feel usually like I can pretty comfortably navigate having like a novice level understanding of the conversation, but I can still keep it moving, right? Not in this situation. This guy was talking to me about very specific PC things. And again, I know generally what I want, but you can get into like 40, 90, 50, 70, 3.6, 24/7 type like conversations about how you can run each application in like a different house of your computer. And this guy's going on and on and on. And it got like real Charlie Brown teacher on me. And like, I felt my eyes starting to kind of wax over as he was I was like fighting my own attention span while this guy was talking about all these, being so helpful. And I was so thankful. And I was honest with him after he stopped talking, that I was like, hey man, I caught about 9% of what you just said before the monkey with symbols in my brain just could not keep up. Like I was Homer Simpson brain all day, just like a dog chasing its own tail in my mind while he was talking about stuff. But he hooked me up. I got the new machine. We are making our way through kind of setting it up. And trying to, again, optimize it for the gaming and creative pursuits. Something else that is really sweet that happened was that my internet has just basically been going out in and out for like the last 2 days. And I am no stranger to internet outages. I live in a pretty old house. I have lived in older houses, and sometimes the internet connection just can't really hold up, or like the wiring in the neighborhood that you live in just hasn't been like laid down again in quite some time. So I have been having some internet issues, but this is where being a dork comes in handy, because I am a believer and I would say a stalwart protector of physical media. I think that as time goes on, obviously, owning physical copies of your favorite movies and TV shows are going to be huge, because I know everyone I talk to that has a streaming service of some sort has either joined it for one show or has left a streaming service for like a movie or a TV show that they love being removed or no longer available on, one streaming service or another. I don't want to have to depend on a streaming service, or in my situation, an internet connection to watch some of my favorite stuff. So if there's like a box set on sale, I'm getting it. Proud owner, my favorite television show of all time, Tales from the Crypt. I've got a box set of Tales from the Crypt. I'm a proud owner of physical media. And again, I will always advocate for buying copies of your favorite stuff. I also have a DVD player, because computers and gaming systems don't come with disk drives on them anymore. The world wants me to download and stream stuff, but I know better. I have been burnt by games and movies and TV shows I love being almost wiped clean from the internet. So physical media is important. And again, during an internet outage, this time I was saved by an old favorite, Courage the Cowardly Dog. Proud owner of the Courage the Cowardly Dog box set. Threw those DVDs in the DVD player last night, and I wanted for nothing more. I could still basically tell you the intro of that show by heart. And the Courage the Cowardly Dog box set came in very clutch for the entertainment needs in an internet outage. But what it also got me to think about, because if you know anything about Courage the Cowardly Dog or have watched it previously, you know that it's a cartoon. But it's also actually scary. There are actually unsettling things that happen in the Courage the Cowardly Dog cartoon. And I think a lot of these things, like when I think back to some of what has stuck with me as a kid, that's what watching Courage the Cowardly Dog, it was specifically the episode with like the giving tree, because the animation in that episode is like really uncanny, and the tree has like spooky eyes, but then like a human mouth in the episode. And it again just made me think of formative things in like my horror tastes. So I want to maybe make a video or make another podcast episode kind of diving deep into the things that scared me into my tastes, if that makes sense. Like the formative, scary things in my life growing up that either drove me from something, or it was the type of scary that I enjoyed and brought me to like a genre or a certain aspect of horror video games and movies that I enjoy and still kind of pursue to this day. I can think right now of a couple things, not even necessarily in like a scary movie, like just things in TV shows or popular media that stuck with me as spooky or unsettling. So I want to dive into some of that stuff in upcoming episodes. So stay tuned for obviously more 7-Day Boogie spooky history of the Boogieman. If you are subscribed to my channel, you may have seen a video that I put out recently where I was exploring some skateboarding helmets. As a large-headed king myself, I have had a hard time finding skateboard helmets that fit. I did recently find one, and I put out a video about it. So thank you. If you've checked that out, I've had some people check it out and leave some very fun comments. So I like interacting with people and talking about the struggles of having a skull that is the reason that hats say one size fits most, because I am not most. I've got a mammoth cranium. But yes, check that video out. I think you would like it if you have a large head, or if you skateboard, or if you like this podcast, because it's just more of me goofing around. You know what I'm saying? But during my first skate session in the warm weather, We've had some very beautiful weather where I live right now in the past couple days. The windows are open. You may hear some of the societal vehicles driving around, revving often in the background. I apologize for that, but we're putting podcasts out as much as we can. So during the first skate in the helmet, all thumbs up on the helmet side. I felt very. That's the funny thing when you're using something like a helmet or with skateboarding, is that you almost don't want to have an opinion about it while you're skating. I don't think the helmet made me skate better, but previously I have been aware of the helmet on my head because of how tight they were, and that would like affect my ability to really get into the session or I think to skate to the best of my ability, because I'm like concentrating on the fact that there's I'm like wearing something that's squeezing my melon to such a degree. But the 3XL helmet was great in that I didn't notice it while I was skating. Something else that I've talked about on this channel that I did notice while I was skating, because we had to, first session, we're pulling out all the stops for the first session of the year in nice weather. I wear a 12 wide, a 12 or a 13 wide in most shoe brands. I have lucked out in that Converse and Vans have started to release some of their classic designs in a wide foot, allowing me to re-establish a love for the Chuck Taylor and some of the Vans classics that I grew up wearing. I also have tried out like some barefoot or wide shoes, and recently skated in a pair of barefoot wide shoes from Splay, a company that made a running shoe that I tried out last year that I was pretty into. They have kind of worn out, so I'm back to running in a more traditional running shoe, but I did enjoy running in the Splay shoes. Again, the wide shoe is the goal. I'm not necessarily like a barefoot shoe person. Nothing against that. I was seeking more of a wide shoe coming from that perspective, more so than like a barefoot lifestyle choice. So skating in the barefoot wide shoes, again, being completely honest, I did not really enjoy it. I was having a hard time getting into. Now, skating new shoes in general can be difficult because there is like a wearing in process, and if you've skated previously, or if you skate, you know that like a shoe's shape has a lot to do with how comfortable you are skating in it. And there can be like a lot of really little things. My older brother and I call it like the perpetual gear crisis, where there can just be these little adjustments in your skateboard or in the shoes that you're wearing, or even like skaters love to nitpick their own kit. And when I was skating the other day in the wide shoes, I was nitpicking the hell out of them, just through the process that I always kind of go through when I'm skating a new pair of shoes, which is just like, how do they look when I'm looking down at my feet on the skateboard? How do they feel when I'm doing a trick? How do they feel if I bail a trick or land primo? How does a kickflip feel? How does an ollie, like how do my meat and potatoes tricks that I do, like I do like 10 tricks. How do those 10 tricks feel? And like, how quickly can I get back into the basic, again, like my bread and butter meat and potatoes trick set that I do at the skate park, like every time I do it? That is kind of my test for a pair of shoes. Is again like the look down test. How does it look when I'm standing on my board, and how comfortable do I get? Like, how quickly do I feel comfortable doing my routine, let's say, at a skate park comfortably? Now, again, with the helmet, I felt fine. I did not really notice a difference. And I brought my size 12 Vans old schools, again, because I feel like that is just like, when I think of a skate shoe, that is what I think of. I have skated old schools, like old schools, slip-ons, half cabs, several pairs of Vans previously. Again, because of like the narrowing of shoes, that's a conspiracy for a different day. But because I think shoes are getting smaller, buying the wides has been crucial. Comparing the splay shoe to the Vans wide at the skate park, when I got there, I was warming up in the splay shoes, skating the ramps, skating flat ground, pop shove it, 180s, doing like the couple switch and fakie tricks that I can do. Couldn't really get into a groove of doing a kickflip, which is one of the first things that will make me not feel good about skating a pair of shoes. Like I said, I don't have like a deep bag of tricks, but I'm really comfortable with the tricks that I can do, and a kickflip is one of those tricks. I feel like I have a pretty good kickflip. Decent pop, the board flattens out in the middle of it. I love a good kickflip. It's one of my favorite tricks to do. If I'm feeling good, a good kickflip it's like how I like to end a session, right? Is with a good, nice, popped, caught kickflip. I was unable to do a good kickflip in the splay shoes. I could do a kickflip and had done a few kickflips in them, but they were like mostly rocketed. They weren't very even. I felt like I was just kind of barely scraping away with the kickflip. Couldn't really get a feel for the shape of the shoe. And what didn't help me feel like getting to know that shoe was when I switched over to the Vans old schools and like immediately popped a fat kickflip in them. So I spent the rest of the session, again, because it was the first session of the year in nice weather and I had the helmet on, so I wanted to just kind of get back to basics. I spent the rest of the session in the Vans old schools just to give myself the comfort of the kit that I was skating in so that I could, again, hit those basics, do my tricks, hit my routine, my board slides, couple feebles, rock to fakie. I could like kick flip a couple ramps, do our thing, right? Get the meat and potatoes tricks back in our pocket. So I felt good the rest of the session. Again, I'm not giving up on the splay shoes. I just wanted to give like my first initial impression. And for what I am looking for, which is comfort while skating and also like ability to continue skating after, or the quickness with which I can warm up and get into a session and start to feel like I'm kind of back in the groove of things with my trick set. That is what I'm looking for in a pair of skate shoes. And I'm not giving up on the splay shoes, but they've got, in my opinion, kind of a long road ahead of them if I'm going to continue to skate in that type of shoe versus just getting what I'm used to, which would be a Vans wide. So we shall see. All right, moving right along to the Tremors power ranking segment, where we are rocking and rolling through the Tremors series. And this week we're talking Tremors 5 Bloodlines. Go ahead and watch the movie right now. Boop. I hope you enjoyed Tremors 5 Bloodlines. Let's get right into it. What is the premise of this movie? This movie is basically Tremors 2, if that makes sense. Tremors 2, old vet brought back into the fold by a wealthy businessman protecting his interests, and a super fan annoying sidekick. Tremors 5, basically that, but this time it's Bert instead of Earl getting brought back into the fold. Bert, after the events of the previous movies, is now like a Survivor Man type YouTube Discovery Channel TV show host type guy, right? He is found and propositioned to go to Africa because there have been ass blaster sightings near an animal preserve in South Africa. He is found by a millionaire. Again, this is Tremors 2. He is found by a millionaire with the help of Jamie Kennedy, the new superfan annoying sidekick. So much to discuss and not a lot to discuss at the same time with Jamie Kennedy's character in this one. We're going to move on just for the sake of the movie. The plot of the movie is Jamie Kennedy and Bert going to South Africa. Jamie Kennedy is the filmer, saying that he can he's been like a conflict documentarian, so he knows how to stay safe and stay filming, blah 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 blah. Bert is going to, he thinks, hunt the ass blasters, but of course it twists and the millionaire wants the graboid eggs for his own pursuits. So that's the plot. Bert and Jamie Kennedy's character, what the hell is his name? Doesn't matter. In Africa, protecting this wildlife preserve and fighting graboids. That's pretty much it. There's like some side stories with the doctor that runs the wildlife preserve, but that just kind of happens away from what Bert and Jamie Kennedy are doing, trying to destroy the like ass blasters colony. There are a couple changes to the monsters in this movie that we'll get to. But I would say that this movie, Tremors 5, is like a 6.5 out of 10 on the scale. It is basically a rehashing of a plot line, right? Superfan bringing the vet back into the action. Millionaire kind of twists the original reason that they're bringing them back into the action. And there wasn't necessarily like a love story in this, but there is kind of a shoehorned call to affection type situation in this, where during the plot of the movie, we find out that Jamie Kennedy is actually Bert's son. So because we are on Tremors 5 now, and we know what happens, right? Monsters show up, people fight monster, most people die, jokes, explosions, survive monster till next movie. We're going to go right into the scoring criteria. Not unfortunately, but most of 99% of this movie, the monsters are CGI. I'm thinking back and not rewatching the movie as I'm recording this, and I can't think of a moment where the monsters are real. Practical effects, rather. There's like some explosions and stuff. They definitely had a budget for this movie, which was kind of surprising. Like there's like a bunch of animals. There's a bunch of explosions. The CGI is like good in this movie. So I liked this movie. We'll get to like the overall ranking, but the new setting adds a fun twist. You know, there's lions and stuff in this movie. There's also, they changed the graboid, the monster design. I think that is tied into rights in some ways, but whatever. The new graboids are pretty cool. There's pluses and minuses to the new monster design. The new graboids is a little bit different. Their jaw looks more like a hand. It's got like more segments to it. They're also a little bit longer and more narrow, and they kind of corkscrew through the dirt. And there's some pretty cool scenes where they're kind of like dolphin diving in and out of the dirt, chasing the prey. I think that was pretty cool. Where the new monster design slips a little bit, in my opinion, is with the ass blasters. I could not really tell what was the front or the back of the ass blaster in this movie. Now, they are deadly looking. They kind of took the ass blaster and made it look like the worms from the King Kong remake, where it's just kind of like a worm with a bunch of teeth. But the ass blaster has wings and an ass that blasts. So that was kind of a fumble in my opinion. I would have liked a little bit more of a defined monster rather than just kind of like a wormish lamprey design. Also in this one, the differences in the monster, the tongues of the graboids can like detach and go on little side quests, which I thought was kind of cool. It just kind of adds like a new element in some of the smaller action scenes. The cast of this movie is actually pretty good. We're going to throw Jamie Kennedy into a volcano again, but Michael Gross is like full Bert in this movie. He has played this character for so long. He is like really going for it in this movie. He like loses his mind in a few scenes because they get like betrayed by the evil millionaire, and he goes basically like feral when he is stuck in a cage for several hours in the hot African sun. But I thought that the rest of the cast, some of the side characters, they did a great job of not doing too much with them. Again, not to like continue to just shit all over Tremors 3, but I think that was where they went wrong. I think they did too much with the side characters, and we know why we're here in Tremors 5. We're ready to watch Bert just like dump shotgun shells into monsters, and we don't really, we can just kind of glide through the rest of the characters. We don't really need that much from the rest of the cast. So I think the cast in this movie did a pretty good job carrying like the B plot, where they are mostly at the animal preserve protecting it during like the big monster cutscenes, and I thought that they didn't really take away from the movie. They added enough to keep the movie going, and I thought that they were pretty good. Jamie Kennedy. What are we gonna do? So I've said it a million times. Jamie Kennedy really kind of blows it in this movie. Who's surprised? Right? He is just being as Jamie Kennedy as he can be in this, making all the like fart and poo-poo jokes that you can possibly make, which I'm a fan of when done tastefully, but he is just kind of like lol random guy this whole movie, if you know what I mean. He seems like a parody character that Tim Heidecker would make, truthfully. Shout out to my On Cinema family out there. But he is like, he's got these jagged sideburns. He's trying to be like, I think like guerrilla filming, documentarian, been all over the world, wisecracking kind of like ladies man. He really comes across to me as a guy that just plays guitars at Guitar Center too loud with the volume all the way up, and just like tries to sweep pick, making eye contact with all the hot moms that are letting their kids destroy the keyboard section. So that's kind of what his character was like for me. He's got some lines in this movie that I will not repeat, that really suck all the momentum out. Any momentum that the movie was having gets just destroyed by Jamie Kennedy in multiple scenes. So that just kind of take you out of it a little bit. Again, they really shoehorn in a plot where he is Bert's son. So like the bloodlines thing, they are, at first you think they're just talking about like wiping out the life cycle of the graboid, right? Because they go graboid to shrieker to ass blaster. The ass blasters lay the egg, and then the whole cycle repeats so that we can continue to have cool graboids in the movies. Turns out bloodlines also means that they imply in this movie that Bert had a kid that is Jamie Kennedy that he had nothing to do with or know or knowledge of. So that becomes like kind of the like bow at the end of the movie, where they're like, well, what do you want to do? Be my dad or something? And Bert's like, okay, we're buddies now. So unfortunately, I think Jamie Kennedy is also in the next Tremors movie. We'll see how that goes. But overall, where does Tremors 5 stack up? Is it a fun watch? Absolutely. Are there moments of this movie that make me go, ugh? Again, would I invite my friends over to watch this movie as a joke? Absolutely. That again puts it higher up on the list, because I think that it is an enjoyable watch. We're basing the Tremors movies against themselves, right? I can't grade Tremors against all movies ever, because we are now, this is an insular issue. This is an inside job. We're looking at Tremors within the Tremors universe. So Tremors 5, I'm going to put in 4th place behind Tremors 2, in front of Tremors 3. So the ranking goes 1, 4, 2, 5, 3 so far in the Tremors power ranking. Up next, we have Tremors 6, which is called A Cold Day in Hell. And I am hoping that they were basically going to get The Thing, but with like a Tremors twist, right? Like, it's, give me like an Antarctic or Alaskan setting, cold research base with some kind of new frozen graboid variant wreaking havoc on this like snowy outpost. I'm fully into that. That is going to wrap it up. Thank you for listening. Stay tuned for more 7-Day Boogie action. I hope you're well. More videos to come. If you're listening, thank you. If you're watching on YouTube, thank you. Like, share, subscribe, send it to a friend. Thank you for stopping by. Love ya. Mwah.